Hey y'all, got a new hat this year. Need a little more coverage than what I had previously, and this one seems to do, seems to do a good job. Okay, so let's talk about where we are, where we left off. So last year was my first year in the raised beds, and I did not have my irrigation correctly. I had bought those drip irrigation things, and over the distance that I needed to irrigate, it did not work. So this year I went back to soaker hoses, and that's what I've used previously in like the rest of my house. Well, around the rest of my house is soaker hoses. So I went back to that. So it has a few issues as well. One of the things is that when I've got them everywhere from one bed to another bed, there's this, soaker hose that is dripping water that isn't really being used. So it's kind of a waste, and that bothers me. So in a few places I have put grow bags with plants. I just moved these today from where I had them previously, because they were kind of at the end of the soaker hose, and they weren't getting as much water as what they needed to get. And so I've moved my bags, and I upgraded my watering timer. So you can see right there. So that has 4 different hoses hooked up to it, and I have it programmed to water in the morning, and it waters one at a time so that I get the good water pressure on each one, rather than have them all going at the same time and them having to share the water pressure. So that seems to be working pretty good, except for the wasted water. And so I'm thinking of ways that I can put other things in grow bags. I have a bunch more grow bags. Other things in grow bags, put it in these spaces so that I'm not wasting water, because that bothers me. It's wasteful to begin with. You're just buying water you're not using, but also we don't need to be wasting water. We need to be using our water, appropriately, and being pretty conservative. So that's what I've done on irrigation this year. The other thing that's different from last year is I moved the bucket garden inside the fence. Because I was going back to the soaker hoses, I needed to have the bucket garden so inside the fence, so I didn't have as far to run stuff. So the bucket garden is all inside the fence. I don't have anything growing on the top level yet, because what I'm going to put up there, it's not the appropriate time. So those are just up there for now. But I have things all in the bottom. 2 of the things that I have in the bottom are perennials, so that means they come back every year. So that purple coneflower, now this is his 2nd year, and I broke one of him already, but so he's trying his very best. And then lemon balm. So, and I just harvested, so that's where my lemon balm is, but I just harvested my lemon balm, and I'm going to make a lemon balm tincture, and I will show that shortly. The other things that I have in the bucket garden, got some lavender, some sage, some thyme, some chamomile, and I say this wrong every time, nasturtium, I think that's it. So I've got those in the buckets. In the raised beds, I've got some watermelon, some hollyhocks, in this first one. So another thing I'm doing this year, I'm not growing as many vegetables. It just, you know, we like pretty things, but I am growing a few vegetables, but it's going to be things that I know we'll absolutely use, or I can give to someone who will absolutely use them. And I know a little bit more about the things that I'm growing, so I'm not gonna hose that up. Okay, so I've got hollyhocks, watermelon, in one of the grow bags I just moved over here, but that was definitely not getting enough water. I've got some salvia because it's good for the pollinators. And then in this bed, I've got some lantana, and then something someone gave me, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but it will be pretty when it comes back. And then in between here, I've got a blueberry bush, and then my white lilies that I planted last year for my daughter-in-law. Those are beautiful. Now, here's the issue though. Their wedding is March the 5th of next year. So these did not bloom, and I don't think they're going to bloom in time for the wedding, which is the whole reason why I planted all these. So I'm going to have to get some more bulbs, and I'm gonna try to hothouse them. Fingers crossed. My strawberries are in this bed, and those came back. I planted a lavender here. I like lavender. So this is the second year for my asparagus, so they have ferned out really nicely, and we're getting closer. We're getting closer to edible asparagus. And then I've got some squash, I've got some zucchini, I've got a few carrots, I've got watermelon, I've got that I have in that grow bag is I think it's a mulberry. I've got tomatoes, and I've got some marigolds, and I've got some basil that's coming up between there. This is the watermelon. And then the other thing that came up, so I planted all of these flowers last year on my fence row, and they were really pretty. I should take a picture of them while they were blooming. Some of them are still blooming, but they're really pretty. And then out here in these two, oh, and then I've got two elderberries inside. So here's one, and here's the other one. And where I had a rose bush right here, it did not make it. So I planted a butterfly bush right there, and I just deadheaded him, so he's not as pretty as what he was, but it is what it is. Okay, so out here in these little beds, I've got some sweet potato vine and some other decorative things, and then got the same thing on this side. Over here, I've got two hydrangeas that I'm trying to save, and some hostas. They're over here so they'll get lots of shade. And then the roses that I did last year, they're starting to come up. So the goal is that I'll end up with an archway there. But they're doing pretty good. In that front little bed, I've planted some wildflowers and some sunflowers, so we'll see what happens there. The Methuselah rose is still hanging on. He looks a little worse this year because I think all of that cold that we had earlier this year, he didn't like that very much. Anyway, the canyons are all coming up. You see all the canyons. We planted a couple more hydrangeas back there. They look a little rough right now. And then the crepe myrtle my mom gave me that I thought I'd killed. Anyway, he's back there, and he's doing very well. And then on the porch, we've got our hibiscus and a couple other really pretty things. So things are good. I am going to do some fall planting this year. I didn't do that last year. So whenever it's closer to fall, I've got a lot of bulbs that I'm gonna plant, and I've got some other things that I'm gonna do in the fall that I haven't done before. So I learn a little bit all the time. As far as my master gardeners, been doing a lot of stuff with them. They are a great group of people. You can ask them anything and they'll help you out. And we're doing a seminar this fall for my county, and I'll give more information about that. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. Another thing, the panels on my greenhouse are looking kind of rough. So it's been, it's been a couple years since we put the greenhouse together, and I guess it's like sun deterioration, or I don't really know. So we're contemplating getting a different greenhouse, like in the winter, or maybe in the fall. I don't know. They'll put stuff on sale soon. So maybe a little bigger one. I did clean everything out in there, rearranged some things, made it flow a little better. So that's good. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do something different with the greenhouse. He's a little small for what I need, and or maybe I've just outgrown him. So we'll do something different. Anyway, I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna make my lemon balm tincture, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. All right, bye.